Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So human behavior, we know about that. Motivations. Human motivations. What do you think motivation is?
The motivation in Past the Shallow.
Or just motivation in general?
Motivation is like something that make you want to do.
Yeah, like something that pushes you, right?
Yeah.
Like what's your motivation? Like what inspired you to do certain things? Yeah. Yeah, so you're like inspiration and the force that pushes you for certain actions. That's how I'll put it. Motivations. Yeah, you can say that. For example, in Pastor Shallow, right? You can sort of justify Dad's like abusive behavior by saying that he is just, so affected by grief and by past trauma, like what Miles' mom did with was it Uncle Nick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he might be traumatized from it. So that sort of traumatized him to, later towards the end, eventually killed Harry. That can be a motivation. But I think what's more relevant for us would be about human behavior. Motivations, nothing too much to worry about. All right, moving on. This part out. Inviting the responders to see the world differently. What does this mean in like lay tone? What does this mean like in simple words? Any ideas?
Inviting the respondent to see the world differently.
Yeah. What does it mean in like just simple words? Or like, yeah.
Like they have a lot of
Yeah.
like aspect.
Yeah, true. Yeah. See the world differently see the world with a different perspective and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it basically just saying that like this applies to every single story that you've written so far, that you have read so far. It doesn't need to be correlating with Pastor Shalom, but like you just like after you read each book, you get to know the ideas and then the reasons of why the writer would write something in certain ways. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's the reason why she wrote this. Oh, okay, that's the reason why he uses metaphor and stuff. So yeah, so after having an understanding of the novel, then you get to use that idea from the novel and then apply that to your view of the world. Like for example, before you'd be like, I was like, oh yeah, I never knew that. I never knew that kids in Tasmania, like the one in Pastor Shallow, that they lived in such a terrible life even when they were so young, and that gets me to understand the world differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can be something. Usually, this sentence here, we don't really see it in the question as much. It's usually that we can include it in our introduction towards the end of the introduction as a little syllabus or thesis. Yeah, oftenly used as a syllabus thesis statement. That's what it is. Okay. All right. Next. All right. This is very important because this applies to module B as well. I remember some question that asked about challenge assumption, and that's probably one of the hardest one for module B. What does challenge assumption mean? Yeah, sometimes they actually ask it in like affirm or challenge assumptions. Yeah, you got to be very careful here with the wording because I remember last year Michelle, I think in trials or like one of the assessments, she did something and that was kind of scary because I'm pretty sure one of the questions I think was in trials. It asked about this question like affirm or challenge assumptions, but she didn't see the or. You know how like or and, right? Like or just means that you can only choose one between the two, and then and you can talk about both. But then I don't think she read the question carefully, so she just wrote about both sides. Both sides, as in she wrote about affirm assumptions and challenge assumptions at the same time. And I think the teacher was being really nice and didn't take many marks off. But yeah, you just gotta be very careful with this middle word here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, back to this question. Let's talk about assumptions first. What do you reckon assumption is?
Assumption is a stereotype about something. Is that assumption? Like you think
It
about
doesn't.
something.
Yeah, doesn't have to be stereotype, because stereotype, usually when we talk about stereotype, we already talk about how negative it is, right?
Yeah.
Like we'd be like, yeah, talk about stereotype is bad, and then we shouldn't be seeing a person, in the same way over and over again. But assumption sometimes doesn't have to be bad. It's both sides. So assumption is a neutral word. Is a neutral word. Have you heard of this technique called a connotation?
I haven't.
Yep. So connotation. So assumption is like a neutral. It's not like a neutral connotation. So you also have positive connotation and negative connotation. So some examples can be like, for example, if someone comes over to your house, you call them a guest, right? Like a guest. And then that's like a positive connotation. But if just someone that, like a formal person, like a formal visitor that come to your house, you call them a visitor. And visitor. And that's a neutral connotation. Like you're not inviting them to come over, but at the same time, they're not like intruding you. So next we have intruder. Intruder is like a negative connotation. So connotation just means that how you can sort of like describe a word, like the tone of how you would describe a word. And assumption is just like a neutral one. It's not like negative or positive. So, because for example, right, like in module B, I remember in module B, they usually ask you about sometimes like how does the poems you study affirm or challenge assumptions about immigrants or something about immigration. That can be something for you to think about later. But just to be careful that assumption is not the same as stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes it can be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about any sort of assumption that you can think of in Pass or Shallow? It's hard, but can you think of any?
Assumption in Pass or Shallow.
Mm. It doesn't have to be anything like too fancy, just like any example.
I think is that the relationship of the kids with their father is like always abusive and cruel and dangerous.
Sure. So you will say that that's challenging assumption that kids usually have a healthy and positive relationship in the family.
Yeah.
Is that what you, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, that can be an example. Yeah. Okay. So that's about this one. Yeah, as I said before, even like sometimes if you have no idea how to answer some of your questions, like some of your comprehension questions, always try to link back in your mind to what words you have from the syllabus that you can really link the question you have to. Because sometimes the question might seem very weird, but then you're like, oh, okay, this question sort of want me to talk about, inconsistency. Oh, okay, you want me to talk about like seeing the world differently. So then you really need to have like a good understanding of what these words mean before you can answer those questions.
Yeah.
And then I remember back then before my trials exams, I usually would go with the syllabus like over and over again, just to really know and then get ready for what's going to come up. All right, so that's about the syllabus. All right, about the homework here. This photo. Let's talk about this photo.
I haven't finished writing, but yeah.
That's okay. You can talk me through. You can finish it later. So what is the question asking?
The question asked me like, how does the image represent an individual who values discover objects?
That's right. Yeah. Well, what does it mean? What does it mean that when someone like values discover objects?
I don't know if I'm right or not, but like this is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is asking about like how's the image shows that this person like like really, what is that called, appreciate his collections, and he's really into it.
Yeah, good job. So that's what it is. So value here just means that like he cares about it. Yeah, and he thinks they are important. So okay, that's it. Good job. All right. Talk me through then. So 3 marks, right? How many examples or how many peels are you gonna have? Wait, did you guys talk about peels or like teal or like petal?
I think pill.
Peels? Okay, sure. For a 3 marker question, how many peels do you reckon you need to have?
I forgot. Well, I
So
can say.
usually a rule of thumb will be like always go for example that's one less than the mark. So for 3 markers, you talk about 2 examples.
Two
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, two example, 2 quotes, 2 techniques, and then 2 links.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this. So from this photo, what about this photo that shows that this guy really cares about this collection?
I think the main hand positions, like the way that he hold it.
The right hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the collections in, as you can see in the background.
Sure, very good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the books on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And the she saw.
Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. So I can see from your answer here, right? This part here. To be honest, you can just leave it like this. You can talk about your hand gesture and then backgrounds. So those are 2 examples really. And then here, you can talk about it more in depth. For example, I'm gonna run it. You don't even need to talk about like red or green like that.
Yeah.
Because like the red or green, yeah, sure. Like yeah, it talks about kind of give you a hint to when this guy is alive, like the era or the period of time, probably like back in the 17 or something. Yeah. But how does that got anything to do with his appreciation for those objects? Not much.
Yeah, it's not
So
related.
yeah, yeah. Well, there was a student from previously. He explained it this way. He said that, oh yeah, this guy it's wearing red clothes, and then by his haircut, he knows that this guy is probably really high up in the social hierarchy. It just means that this guy is probably someone that's very important, probably like a scientist, like a high class scientist. And then from his social status, we can see that he's got the time and money to collect all these objects.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit far off. But yeah, you can talk about that as well. But then here, I will just stick with these two. So you can say that I'm going to answer this. So you can see, so this image of a scientist in red. Hang on. This image illustrates a scientist who values discovered object through the use of hand, gesture, and background. And then we'll talk about, for example, so you want to be like very specific. You want to talk about like right hand, because it's the right hand. For example, his right hand holding a jar of, I'm not sure what that is. Let's just say specimen. For example, his right hand holding a jar of specimen and showing it to the audience, demonstrate his pride in his collection, and thus displaying his passion for these objects. And then additionally, the shelf in the background of the image shows numerous specimen bottles, and through their mass quantity. So we can talk about like, because they are like literally a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I want to talk about like quantity. And through their mass quantity, audience are invited to appreciate his hobby and well, I'm running out of words. His hobby and we'll talk about passion. His hobby and just say his hobby. Let's say Alexa. His hobby and passion. It's another word for passion. And let's say devotion is passion and emotion to collecting objects. Yeah. So that can pretty much be it. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can also talk about like his left hand.
Left hand.
What about his left hand? His left hand is pointing at the table, right? Have you heard of this technique called a vector line?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can talk about that. You can also say that the author, or let's say the painter uses a vector line in the scientist, how about not spell? In the scientist left hand, which points at a table of shells to show blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So something I would say just before here, right? Yeah, like you talk about the hand gesture, hand position, and the collection in the backyard, in the background. Just elaborate on them. Like just talk about it as two separate peels, and then you're fine. And don't worry too much about the other stuff because that's what you need for a 3 marker.
Like how many words should I write for this one?
How many words? That's a good question. I think just try to, because during the exam, right, they will give you the line. So you can go over the line, but they'll always like fill up the line.
Oh, maybe
I never, wait, why do you ask?
like the words you answer is like about 18
A lot?
words. Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't really matter about the words, I would say. It's more about your time efficiency
Oh.
because your comprehension and then module A, it's in the same like period. So some people, they will go finish your essay first and then answer the comprehension. It's just that if you can answer this question quickly, later you have more time for your essay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter about words. Yeah. But then it's just sometimes try to be like very specific. Yeah, it's good that you talk about like here, like hand holding position. So that's good. You talk about holding is something that can be like a lot of people make mistakes on this. They'll be like, oh yeah, like this guy through his body language and massive collection in the background, but they don't actually like specify what body language it is. So here we talk about holding the jar, holding the bottle with the right hand. So that's something very specific and good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions with this?
Do you have like the vocabulary, like the synonym, the good synonym for me to use when I answer? Like when you use the
Like show, demonstrate, all that.
yeah, and
Yeah. I got one for you.
and passion, and then you change to you said that what is the synonym for passion and stuff?
Devotion and stuff. Yeah, I can just one sec. I can find you because I had this table of synonyms for like analytical words. So we don't always have to, just say like show, explains, demonstrates, proves. There are other words to use. But for like passion and those words, you just gotta come up. I don't think I have a table for that. And like to be fair, during the exam, right? Because I got stuck here just then, right? I'll try to find like a synonym for passion. Like if during the exam, if you get stuck, don't worry about it. Just write down, you just repeat the same word. Because time, you gotta be very efficient. You don't have time to think.
Yeah, I think time management is one of my weakness as well.
Yeah, because time, to be fair, I think time, it's probably the most important thing when it comes to listening as well. Because listening, you only have around like 12 minutes to answer your question. And you should have like 5 questions to answer.
Oh.
Yeah, so here is the table of these words. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have another one somewhere. At the same time, do you mind, let's just not waste time, do you mind to put your Module A essay down here so we can have a look together?
Module A, the past the shallow?
Isn't that what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, but I have to find it again. I don't know, like.
Yeah, that's okay. We go find it. I'll find the other table for you. I have another table synonym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teaching Mod A Pastor Shallow. Oh, this is the one, I think. I'm gonna share these three documents with you as well. I'll send it to you to your emails. It's notes for Pastor Shallow. What are the other subjects you're doing? What did you see?
I do math advance, English EOD, physics, hospitality, bio.
Oh, did you say hospitality?
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing that one. Okay, interesting. Pastor Shallow. What degree are you trying to get into?
I'm currently interested in like teaching, but I want to study
Yeah,
another language.
So you want to study in what?
In teaching, like I want to study
Yeah.
another language and teach another language, not English.
Well, what do you want to teach? Like what language? Have you thought about it?
I want to study Japanese.
Okay. Oh, but you're not doing Japanese for HSC, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Interesting. Are you trying to get into UC then?
I think I prefer UNSW, but I don't think that I like good enough to get in that school. Maybe Macquarie or Western Sydney.
Oh, what's the ATAR?
The ATAR for teaching?
Yeah, in at UNSW.
I think it's like it's like 85 or something.
Do you think you're not going to get 85?
Yeah, I don't think I can get 85. I think it's really
what?
hard.
Why is that? What about your other subjects? Are they okay or?
I think maths. I choose math advance, which is like when I was in year 10, it was okay, but now I don't think so because like I think it's because of language barrier. I couldn't understand what are they talking about, and I just like go on YouTube and study by myself.
Really? I thought your English is okay.
Not just my speaking, but my writing is like really bad, and my reading as well.
Okay, right. What are you trying to get for now? English and for HSC, band, like in terms of band?
Because like teaching need English and maths, so
Yeah.
I need to get like good marks
Band
in
5?
teaching. Yeah,
Band
band
6?
5. Yeah.
Okay. That's doable. That's okay. Well, your teacher is a guy, right? I remember.
Yeah, my teacher is Mr. Lim. He's like Korean.
Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, the guy's Korean? Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes. I don't know why I couldn't find it. Like I wrote it before, but I think I should write the new one.
Write a new one? Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
I just sent you 3 documents. Alright, how about this? Let me find a question for you and I'll just prepare an essay based on this question.
Can we do the questions in my assessment task?
Sure.
Okay. It's like I think it's like the same what I showed with you, but
Yeah, just write it down.
I'll write it down.
Yep. And then whenever you're ready, open the I just sent you 3 documents to your email. Open the one that's a recap module A.
Recap module A.
Yep. Module A.
Recap module A.
Now, I need to talk to you about this concept. I don't know. I think the teacher of it. No, I don't think the teacher told you about this. But have you heard of micro and macro techniques?
So I haven't heard about it.
Yeah. So yeah, not a lot of teachers tell students about this. Like not even my teacher back in high school. It's from 3 of my students from this high school near Chatswood. They use a lot about their teacher taught a lot about these techniques, and I think that's something we can learn about to push our marks higher. But micro techniques. Micro means something small, right? Like microscope to see something smaller. Micro technique just means that like our normal like day-to-day literacy devices, like have like simile, metaphor, personification, and all those little stuff.
Yeah.
Simile, metaphor, imagery, all those. And that micro technique is more about the structure. It's more about like feature of form. So like it's something that's like the motif, something like the story it's written in the perspective of a child, the story it's written in a cyclical structure, the story it's written in a flashback sort of timeline. So it's something like of a bigger structure. It's not about like those little quotes. It's most about the structure or the form of a writing. That's macro. So macro means something's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I talk about this, it's how your teacher. Do you remember for your module A essay, how many quotes did you write? 6. Do you have like 3 paragraphs?
I think so. I forgot. I don't know why I couldn't find it right now, but
That's okay. We can write a new one together. But yeah, it's usually because for HSC, right? You only have like 30 minutes. You only have 30 minutes for all these. So I'm going to be very efficient. I think. Wait, have you ever tried like to time yourself to see how many words you can write in 30 minutes?
in 30 minutes, I think I can write like 200 words.
Sorry, how many did you say?
200 or 300.
Only.
Yeah, I'm not sure. When I write in IELTS, I think it's I don't know how many
Yeah.
words in IELTS, but yeah, it's
What
probably
if it-
different.
But what if it's something that you memorized previously?
I think if I memorize, I will write it very fast. But for IELTS, I cannot memorize in the IELTS test. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very-
Okay, so let's not talk about IELTS. Let's just talk about HSC stuff now. Because I'll tell you a number. It's something that we really have to work towards to get the high marks. For 30 minutes, like an essay, you have to write at least 700 words.
at least.
At least 700 words. And then, so usually I wouldn't let my student write anything below 700 words. So 700 words like the bare minimum. And then, but like most of the contents that you're writing on the day, it's all memorized. It just there's some introduction and some some thesis or like some conclusion later. We really have to make some adjustments, but most of the stuff should be done previously already and should be all in your head.
Oh, so
Yeah.
like, do you think should like we prepare it in now, or like we're gonna do it in after the trial or something?
Well,
Because
we have to do it now because your trial's your
yeah,
exam.
sure.
Yeah. We have to do it now, like for all modules A, B, C, and D.
So you're talking
Yeah.
about memorizing the essay.
Mhm.
So how many we have to memorize, and
Just one.
just
So
one?
one for each module.
One for each module, so it's like
Mhm.
3?
Yeah. So 3 in total, A, B, and C. So by the end, your brain should have around like 2.5K to 3K of words in your head.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Because my teacher tell me like,
Mhm.
one of my teacher told me like she have to memorize like 4, at least 4 or 5.
Yeah, you can do that. Some of my students do it, but I don't recommend it because you have other study to do as well. It's just too much.
Yeah.
So I prefer that because for the essay, I get my students to memorize, right? I usually leave some space. I usually leave some space in the writing, so for you to fit like other linking into.
Oh,
So for example, in the end of the like introduction, I'll leave some space that you can link question of the day into.
yeah.
So
So we can
I think
adjust the question.
Hmm?
So we can adjust the question to our essay.
We can adjust. What do you mean?
Like flexible?
Yeah. Like, but most parts in the essay should be the same as what we memorized. Yeah, it should be flexible, but not too flexible in a way that you have to improvise or you have to write on your own during the exam because you don't have time.
Yeah.
That's something. Okay. So that's the macro stuff. So if you open this recap, are you looking at it now? The recap stuff.
Oh, this is my question.
Oh, that's your question. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Impact of human emotions. Human emotions. Let me see if I can find you another question. I just think that this question wouldn't be the best for us to, leave our. So the essay that we are writing now is like a generic. It's like a generic essay. So it's like an essay that will fit all sort of questions.
Oh.
So I want this question to be like very flexible as well. I think this one is too specific to human emotions. Let me find another question. Just 1 second. I think this one it's not the best. All right, at the same time, can you find the 3 themes that you want to talk about in the essay?
What do you mean by 3 things in the essay?
Like 3 themes, you know how we have like brotherhood, bond, we have,
yeah, sure.
like those, yeah. So we can get the quotes ready later as well. Just about like getting all the parts and then we're all gonna put it together. Yeah.
May I ask that what are you studying right now?
Oh, me? I'm about to graduate. I'm in the hospital. Yeah. I studied in the ACU before.
ACU? So what major is that?
Physiotherapy. It's like half medicine.
Oh.
Yeah. Sick. Trying to find this question. But are you here by yourself or like is your whole family here?
I am here by myself.
And you wanted to stay later in here or
What do you mean?
like after you graduate and stuff, you wanted to stay here? Stay in Australia?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
If I can get like the PR, it's really good for me, but like if not, it doesn't matter.
True. What you say are the significant events? Okay. Yeah, I think this is more flexible. This question here. Yeah, let's talk about this question then. So yeah, the reason why I changed it to this question, it just like more general, so we can like fit in more stuff later if the questions on the day decide to ask something that's more specific. So we can easily talk about significant events, and then it just say human experiences, but then we can cover like paradox and consistencies, all those as well in different parts of our essay. Yeah.
To what extent how does the behavior? Oh, do you know like which year is this question?
It's either from a trial or I made it up. I can't remember. I don't think this is an HSC question. Yeah. It is either from a trial question or I made it up. This one will be helpful as well. Here you go. Here's another document I can share with you. Oh yeah, the one it's the one I just shared with you. It's got the other table as well. This document is very heavy, like it's got a lot of content in it, and then it's got some pretty good paragraphs and some very good explanation for some quotes, but then it's just too long, and then we need to make it shorter. Okay. So family trauma and abuse. Sure, you want to talk about that? Okay. Yep. Anything else? You can definitely talk about this one here. I'll just put it down here. So like power of family love and positive relationship.
Yeah.
Yep. There's one theme, I don't know if you have heard of it. People usually don't talk about it, but it just, I think over the years, my other students and I, we decided to keep it there as the third paragraph, just in case some weird questions showed up. It's to do with the nature of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's called the duality of the ocean. That's the other stuff you can talk about.
I heard my
And the
teacher.
reason-
I heard my teacher said that last year is like it was like the memorable or something.
Yeah, last year I was about memory, I think.
That's what is hard to coming up with ideas and stuff.
Yeah, usually sometimes that's what makes it fun. That's how I think of it. Because I think yeah, that's another thing. Like everyone can get a tutor, right? Everyone can get tutor and then work on an essay, memorize it. But then what really matters is on the day of the exam and how well we can adapt your own essay to the question of the day, right? That's what's the most important. And then for you to do that, I think you got to be very confident. You got to have like good trust in your own essay that it can 100% fit into the question of the day. That's something I like personally for me when I did my HSC, I found it very useful. Because if you're just thinking, oh, this question, there's no way I can link it to what I have in my head, there's no way I can answer this, then you're actually not going to be able to do it. And then that applies to like some comprehension question as well. It's just because like some questions just seem very like out of nowhere. Like some questions, like the wording is just very weird. But then there's always some like hints for you to do those questions. For example, like last year. Okay, so last year, this is the question about last year. I write it down here. From last year, 2023. So analyze how the composer of a prescribed text has used storytelling to explore memorable experiences. Right? Question. Okay, so first of all, what are some important words here? Yeah, what do you think? What are some important words here that you want to highlight?
Analyze.
Okay, sure. Storytelling, probably,
yes,
right?
storytelling
And memorable experiences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like this question is actually not that bad because it's not like that specific. Like sure, like storytelling, but you know what, like all text about storytelling. So that's pretty general. And memorable experiences, okay, so anything that's worth writing down in a story are pretty memorable. And that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
And then in this question here, it didn't talk about like anomalies or like paradox and all those. So I guess those are up to us to decide what to write. So from my perspective, I think this question is pretty general. Yeah, like you can talk about like how like the things there, the things you put down here. Yeah, family trauma and abusive stuff. Yeah, sure, that's what makes it memorable. But it's more about like I don't know if you heard about this. So analyze, right? What does it really mean about analyzing? What does it mean by analyzing?
Analyze.
Here's a website you can refer to. I think for your other subject as well.
Identify this component and the relationship between them. Yeah.
Anything else?
And draw out the relay implications.
Yeah, so implication is important. What does it mean by implication?
Implication.
Mm.
Like the hint? I'm not sure.
Yeah, like implies, right? Implies something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so implications basically just think of it as like the effect or like the influence. So it'd be like, oh yeah, sure. Like you talk about like the, the abusive family relationship, and then how the only way that Miles and Harry are able to survive in this family is through their love and through their resilience. Sure, like yeah, okay, that's the experience, but like what does it really say about this experience? What are the implications of it? They can sort of like, link that to the syllabus to say, oh yeah, like, reading these stories from Pastor Shallow really like, broadens my understanding of the diversity of a human experience, and how people in different ages from different locations can have totally different lifestyles. So that's your implication.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not something we'll talk about in the body language, in the body paragraph. It's mostly like just towards the end of the introduction. Something like, through analyzing these complex and inconsistent human experience, audiences are invited to, see the world differently, like stuff like that. Yeah, so those are the implications that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense? Makes sense so far?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, sure. Sounds good. All right. So I'm going to take that away. Oh, yeah. Do you remember just then when I asked you about contraindication, and then you talked about contrast?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference between contrast and compare?
Contrast and compare.
Mhm.
Contrast is like the opposite of it. Compare is like show the difference between it.
Okay.
I think
Why showing?
contrast
that
is
sounds about that sounds the same stuff.
Contrast is like black and white.
Okay.
Like-
Okay. So two things are opposite to each other, like big and small, tall and short, black and white. Okay.
Yeah.
And compare. It's
Compare is like one is like it's look like each other. Right? Compare.
So let me make this easier. So if I give you two questions, like compare text A and text B on the ways each on the way each composer convey the emotion of characters after trauma. That can be the first one versus contrast text A and B on the way each composer conveys. Yeah, that's something that I think that's more relevant to us. Because usually, like this link, so you know about this link, like the directed terms, right, and all those. It's usually like when during the questions, when the markers use either compare or contrast to word their questions, that we got to be really careful of how we answer the question. Because those two words, they actually mean different stuff, or like the composers, not the composers, sorry, the markers want us to talk about different stuff if they use compare or contrast. That's why it's very important.
It sounds so similar.
Yeah, they sound very similar. Like even if you look it up in dictionary, like it's very similar.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a look, or you want me to tell you?
Can you tell
Have
me?
a look.
Can you
Yeah,
tell
sure.
me? Yeah.
So compare, right? Compare, it's more. So compare, you have to talk about similarities and differences together.
Yeah.
Okay. So similarities and differences. So you got to talk about both similarities and differences. Whereas contrast, like black and white, yeah. So you only talk about differences. That's what it is. So that's, I think, something that's relevant for us.
couldn't see the contrast in the glossary of the keywords that you sent me. Just see the compare.
So you have compare, construct, and contrast. If you scroll down.
Oh, construct. Oh yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, it says under compare, so show how things are different or how are similar or different. But then I would just say just write down both similarities and differences. Yeah, so you get the full marks.
Compare is similar and contrast is the different.
So compare, you have to talk about both similar and difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, but contrast is only the differences. Yeah. So sometimes if, like I think it was how many years ago? 3 years ago, I have this student, like similarity and differences. He only wrote about difference, I think, or he only wrote about similarity, and then it was a 5-marker question. He only got 3 marks. Yeah. Oh, and then it's also about that student. You know how before I said that like everyone can get a tutor and just memorize the essay and then on the spot just write it.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's more about how you adapt to the question, right? And that guy, he works very hard to memorize everything that we wrote together. And then he was very lucky in trials in Module B. Yeah, it was Module B essay. The essay that we came up with, our generic one, is very, very similar to the one he got on the day. He got 19 out of 20 for the essay.
Wow, that's
But-
so.
Yeah, but for Module C, it's a bit different to what we came up with. And then he just couldn't really adapt to it, so he only got 10 out of 20.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's something I think we got to work on together as well.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's get back to this essay here. So you talk about family trauma and abuse, okay. Yeah, so that's the scene, the violent scene when not Jess, when Jeff. Yeah, sure. And then loneliness and isolation. Sure. Okay, I'm thinking, how about this? Can we combine these two together? Like, are you trying to say that loneliness and isolation in terms of the kids? Because they're so like isolated in their own family and then they don't have many friends around? Is that what you're trying to say here?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the reason why I talk about this is because usually, so for human experience, right, we want to talk about the positive and the negative. So we pretty much already have like the negative part here, which is the family trauma and abuse and violence. So I'm thinking for the loneliness and isolation, it's sort of like it branches off, right? It's like a result of having abuse and having violence at home, which makes them feel lonely and isolated. So I think loneliness and isolation is like a branch off from family trauma and abuse. So I think we should leave that aside and just focus on brotherhood, resilience, and the duality of nature. So I'm thinking we should take this one off and just leave the rest.
We can get rid of it if you like.
Yeah, just what I'm thinking.
Should
Because
we,
otherwise later it will get kind of messy and we have to use a lot of words to explain. And that's gonna waste our time.
should we talk about like coming of age? Like they like Harry and Miles, like as the age they should be like hanging out with their friends, not going to work. Is that a good one or like it's also not necessary?
Okay. So so if you want to talk about that, that's something that you want to like encourage, right? That's something that we want to encourage them, like to get involved with, right? We want to get them involved with their peers together. We want to get them involved with more friends together, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. But at the same time, that's more about the implication, right? That's more about the implication. But implication sometimes, so they're analyzing stuff. I think it's more about the part before. Implication comes later. So implication is probably only like 10% of the entire analyzing question, and we shouldn't wait that much. And then I think that wouldn't be a good idea to include in our essay. Yeah, it just because like we don't have that much time to talk about it. Like even if you write it down, like what paragraph would you write it down into? And then we don't really have like a quote for we can only say that, yeah, like after all these events happening in a dysfunctional family, both brothers lack interaction with their friends. Therefore, that should be something that that they should work towards to. But then that's mostly coming from us, like from our point of view, right? Like the story doesn't really say much about it. Yeah. But to be fair, that would be a very good idea if you write about discursive writing.
Yeah.
In module D, yeah. In module D, yeah, that's like I think that's a trick that we can use. Because you know how I told you by the end of like trials, or like even before trials, you had like 3,000 words or something in your head because you memorized like module ABC, right?
Yeah.
And then if you were to write about like module D, in module D you are lucky enough to write about discursive, you can actually use your text from ABC to support your point in module D.
So mod D is like the random one.
It is the random one, yeah. But usually, if you don't get creative, you're pretty okay. That's what I'm thinking.
So I should remember like for one creative, because I don't think that I
Yeah.
can coming up with like the story in my head right away.
Yeah. That's what I would do as well. So for my students, we do ABC, and for module D, we probably memorize like a 500 or 400 words creative for story. Yeah. So yeah, like I think last year was creative as well. It's just that if something creative comes up, it's not gonna like screw you up. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But back to what I was saying, so like how you had the idea of they should get to meet more friends and then make more friends as well. That's something that you can probably talk about in your discursive. If the question of the discursive say it's about like human connection and like human relationship, you can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then here, I think it's mostly about what we have in the story, and then let's just analyze the story from here first. Yeah. All right. So if we have 3 paragraphs, let's just include 2 quotes for each paragraph. So we have 6 in total. Otherwise, it's going to be too long and we can't finish. Okay. Let me think. What's the best way for us to do this? Okay, you know what? I can lead this to you as your homework, and then at the same time, we can talk about the structure of essay. Is that okay with you? Or you want me to go through the quotes with you?
I think.
Or later, go through the quotes next lesson.
Yeah.
Up to you. What would you like?
Maybe like go through the quotes, because I have no idea like which quote is good to use.
Sure. Okay. So let's just talk about family trauma and abuse here. Yeah, so that one's a good one. Jeff pushed his glass. Yeah, so like I think like the key stuff. I think like the main idea of family trauma and abuse, it's we just want to show that how like we just want to show like it just how messed up the family is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we really want to show like how it just violent they can become when they're thinking about like what happened in the past, all those. Yeah. But then also 1 second, I'm just trying to think. Because you know how before I told you we kind of need to like include like complex like inconsistencies and like anomalies and those stuff in our quotes as well. So I'm just trying to think of what we can talk about here. Let's also talk about family trauma and abuse. The trauma. Sure. So through trauma and abuse, we can relate this to inconsistency of human behavior. Like we can link this to emotional vulnerabilities and inconsistencies in human behavior. Does it make sense? Like people suffer from trauma because they are very emotional, like vulnerable. They're very vulnerable to trauma, and then after that, they become very inconsistent in their behavior in terms of like caring for the children, caring and all that. So I think, which is the last week. Okay. Wait, did you write this yourself or?
Yeah, I wrote it a long time ago.
It's okay. It's all right. I think the only comment I would say is this part here.
Yeah.
So yeah, like yeah, sure, like yeah, the audience are forced to witness like the nature of hardship, but this part here is something that you are coming up in your own mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's okay, but then it really depends on what the question is asking as well, and like depends on what your topic sentence of the body paragraph is. So, like for example, here we can talk about our topic becomes like emotional vulnerabilities, right? We can say that, oh yeah, sure, because Jeff is suffering from like financial hardship, and then under financial pressure, he lost his control, which shows human emotional vulnerabilities in events of financial hardship, stuff like that. So I think this part here, that's something we're going to work towards. So that's what we call the linking part. So a link to body paragraph statements or link to our question of essay. Let me think of. Emotional vulnerability. Let's just talk about Dad here. Let's just focus on him. Emotional, yeah, inconsistency. Yeah, there's this quote about. So here, I just want to show that how inconsistent the father becomes. So I remember there's this quote here called like leaving Dad brushed Harry's hair back then, and then later we can like contrast this with I think this is quite when he was. I need to find the quote again, but it's the scene when he like fights with Joe in the kitchen. Let's see, let me look this up. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. Like when you're running English, right?
Yeah.
Feel free to use like AI, like ChatGPT and those. I totally accept and I totally give you consent to do that. It's fine, because I think it's very efficient that way. But don't give like ChatGPT like your entire essay and ask it to write it for you. Like you have to have your own understanding first, and then get it to like fix it for you, or like find ways to express it better. That's fine. So use it as your resource.
Yeah.
It's better than Google. Yeah, it's better than Google. And I had this discussion with a. Do you know this high school called Kilara?
I don't know that school.
Kilara is near Chatswood. So I think a few years ago they're like the best public school. But then I had a chat with their teacher because one of my students was from that school before, and I was talking to their teacher, and then we talked about AI and ChatGPT, and then so she said that if you get like ChatGPT to write an essay for you, at most it's only like a band 4 level, but then always use it as your resource. Like what I said before, you always need to have your own idea. Like you can say that, okay, you know what, like make this sentence more related to human experience, or ask it like, how does human emotional vulnerability is shown here, like those questions. So always have your own ideas and then use it as your resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find that quote. 1 sec. Let me open the link chart.
May I ask the questions like why you not choose like you said that you study in ACU before or now? Yeah. So what is the reason why that you choose the ACU University?
It's just because my degree it's because I think ACU has the highest employment rate for my degree. It's like 95% or something.
Oh.
That's why. And our degree, it's just that university is very famous for the degree that I'm doing. Like UCIT has a degree as well, but like even now, like when I have a placement in a hospital, I think my uni has the longest placement, so I actually get to more practice before I go to work. Like I have a whole year of placement, and UCIT only have like half a year.
Oh, that's why. Cause I know that my friends studying nursing. She also go to
Mm,
ACU. She also choose
yeah,
ACU.
yeah. That's right. That's right. I think ACU, yeah, ACU is very famous for all the health degrees. Yeah, and then a lot of people, if they get into UCIT, um, they want to use physio as a bridge. They want to use it as a bridge later so they can actually get into like dentist or like medicine and all those. But I
Oh.
think ACU, yeah, I think ACU people they just really like the degrees and they don't have like any other intentions.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why.
So yeah, but consider that as well. Yeah, because yeah, some people they will say that yeah, UC has a better rank and a better university rank in the world, and yeah, that's true. But that only matters if you go overseas to work. Like if you're here in Australia and work in the future, people are not going to look at your degrees and see which uni you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think does this matter if like UCIT and UNSW is in Go 8 and ACU is not really? This
Not
doesn't
really. I
matter.
don't think so.
This doesn't
Yeah.
matter, right?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I suggest you to go to their open day and ask them about it. Because I'm pretty sure probably the people before, like for example, someone in year two education in USW and someone in like UC year two, they probably had the same like question as you before. And probably just ask them why you chose USW but not UCID.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they yeah, most people in university are very friendly, especially those in open days. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so here, right, here are the two quotes. I just want to show that like I just want to show how quickly human behavior and motivation can change due to trauma. And then here we also shows emotional vulnerabilities and inconsistencies. Yeah. Does it make sense? Like
Yes.
before the trauma happened, before dad figured out like what happened between mom and Uncle Nick, yeah, he used to brush Harry's hair. But then after he found out what happened, it becomes really violent. It's like completely like a different character. And this is all impacted by trauma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something we can talk about here. And then that links well to the syllabus as well because it's talking about inconsistencies. So that's for the first one. I'll leave this one here. I'll make it a bit smaller so later we don't get confused. Um, and so here we can talk about that poles and shortbread up plate. Simple laser for south aligned, okay? Yeah, this is something it's true, but it's not quite like because here we want to focus on like the positive, right? And how their brotherhood becomes like the only source of like security for both brothers. So I'm thinking here for the quotes we can talk about. Like I think there's this quote when Harry is very scared and anxious when he thought Miles got lost. Something like this, like Harry Miles lost, if Miles never came home. Something like that. So here you want to say how this is able to overcome challenges through their unconditional brotherhood. So that can be the first quote. I think the second one we can talk about how. Do you remember the quote when? So here it's mainly about like. So we talk about how Harry becomes anxious when Miles got lost. So that's Harry to Miles. Now we're going to come up with another quote. That's Miles to Harry. I think there's this quote. Do you have any quotes in your mind about this?
I think I can search about it.
Yeah, maybe just find one when Miles like protects Harry or something. You can even talk about like the last scene when he jumps into the water, like dive into the water like a bomb or something. Can't remember that quote. But it's just to show that he's willing to even sacrifice himself to save Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to find that quote. Yeah. Um, does having this lesson make you feel more confident?
Yeah.
Okay. In what ways? As in, like you have more quotes now and you know the system, the questions better. That way.
I know the system in the question.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Glad to hear. Good. Um, yeah, I think apart from the essay, we need to. Yeah, when you're looking for that quote, I'll give you another comprehension. So let's try to like go through one, if not two, at least one comprehension every lesson. So later towards the end by trials, you have practiced probably like 20 already.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second, let me find another one for you. Oh yeah, and listening as well.
I think like for the listening, I usually not really focus like that long, so
What do you mean?
I
Like,
think that's just my weakness.
but you have to focus. It's really short. Like if you don't focus, like they only play it twice, and then if you don't have the answer, you're literally fucked.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's worry about that later. We have a bit of time to focus on module A and the comprehension. How much homework do you have now? For like, yeah, what's your load? What's your study load now? Do you have a lot?
Yeah, I have a lot this week for English because I just finished my narrative writing and I still have 3 more to go and it's due on Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
With 3 more to go.
Yeah, it's 3 more to go. Oh yeah, I'm pretty much done with the mod A, but I have to find it again. I don't know where did I put it. So 2
Oh,
more
because
to
you
go.
guys are running the portfolio, right?
No, I'm
Or is it
running.
the
That one is mod D.
Oh, wait, are you talking about your stories in the story about your mod D?
Yeah.
And then you say you have 3 more to go?
Yeah, I have like Past the Shallow and a Wasteland and the Poet.
Oh, okay, you're talking about that. So like for your trials.
The Trials is coming up as well.
Yep. Stressful time. Okay, that's okay. We're getting ready. So this is your next question. This one's a bit hard, but I think you can do it. So I think I found a quote. Let's talk about frick. Wait, hang on. Where did the quote go? Bomb down, something like that. Bomb down. Okay. Harry thought that got lost.
For listening, do you have any tips to do?
I have a lot of tips to do, but that's gonna take a bit of time. We can talk about it next lesson.
Yeah.
I have a presentation and some worksheets on it. Frick, what is quote about? 1 sec. Bomb down. Oh, found it. Here, this is the one. Myers took a step, grabbed onto the rails, and he leaped into the water. He bombed down. That's the one. Sure. So here, the focus of this paragraph is, yes, it's this part here. So like how their love and how their brotherhood, their relationship is like the only source of comfort in this dysfunctional family that supports them. So here we talk about how Harry cares about Miles, and the next one we talk about how Miles is willing to sacrifice his life to save Harry. So here are the 2 quotes. Okay. Duality of the ocean. I'll leave you to that one. So find 2 quotes for this. Okay. But duality of the ocean, this one's probably the hardest because you also need to think about like what does it really mean by duality of the ocean? So it's about like 2 sides, right? 2 sides of the ocean.
Yeah.
So one is like a tame and then like a just very calm side, right? That helps the family to produce their income because they're like fishermen, right?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's when the ocean becomes a monster that can kill Harry, and then that's very destructive.
Yeah.
Destructive side. And what we want to say here is, so this duality of the ocean, it mimics the duality or the paradoxical nature of human. That's what we want to say. So for humans, you can stay very calm, but at the same time, you can become very destructive and abusive. So I think that's something we can talk about for duality of the ocean. It's talking about the ocean, but at the same time, it's telling us about human experience. Yeah. And the reason why we want to include duality of the ocean is, I think it was 2 years ago, there was a trial question. It was just, there's no way to answer that question without talking about the setting. So, and then we can also say that duality of the ocean, it's a motif. So that's like a macro technique we can talk about. There's not a lot of people talk about the macro technique. So if you want more tips on the macro technique, refer to that document I sent you about the recap mod A documents.
Yeah, I think I saw that email.
Yeah. There's a lot of notes on it. So if you talk about like cyclical structure and all those, you can probably mention that in your introduction, but we go through that again next lesson. Yeah. So I think today, just to find 2 quotes for duality of the ocean and answer this comprehension.
The comprehension. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, find 2 quotes for duality of the ocean, and then finish poetry comprehension. Okay. Any questions?
I don't think I have much question, but like, I just want to ask about like the HSC preparations, like because I think that I have like 2 weeks before the trial, and like before the trials, like what should I study to prepare it?
As in for English or for everything?
Maybe for English and everything, if you know.
So for English, I would say just like obviously get like ABC ready, ABCD ready, like the modules, and then just keep practicing the comprehension questions. But for ABC, right, you just want to like hopefully the plan is for us to go through ABC all together and even module D before trials and memorize it. And then that's pretty much about English. And we also need to practice listening, because considering you haven't done much for listening yet, that's something we want to work towards. And for other subjects, I would say just do past papers.
So you start doing past paper during trial already?
Yeah. Like, to be fair, like don't like I know your teacher sometimes will give you like textbooks like questions, right? Those questions are not really useful. I would say that they're pretty much like a waste of time. Practice more on the past papers. And then after you do the past paper, actually time yourself to do the past paper, and then take some time to actually mark it. Yeah. And reflect on the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think reflecting on the questions is something very important as well. Because a lot of people say, yeah, you need a lot of practice. Yeah, like, no shit, of course you need a lot of practice. But if you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, then that doesn't, it just makes no sense. Like, it happens to me before. Like, I did a lot of questions, like, I think, like thousands, if not like 10,000 of questions. But sometimes I just keep making the same mistake over and over again. It's really annoying. But then I think you're gonna be very conscious of where you're making your mistakes as well. Yeah, so don't get into the ideas that more practice is equal to success. It's not really. You have to reflect a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, like you mean by reflect is like I have to know where I just make the mistake and like
Yeah, and what's the reason you made that mistake?
yeah.
Yeah, so think about that as well. Like silly, like just like silly questions, like for maths, like yeah, it's just silly calculation. That's fine. But then if something that's something to do with certain concepts or topics that you're not sure of, go back to the chapter again, and then do more textbook questions. But then focus on the past papers and time yourself. Yeah, that's something important, I would say.
Yeah, and can I ask like what is the amount of time that you study per day during the year 12?
So before I try to do one past paper for maths every day after trials, and then I think probably like what 4 hours, 5 hours. But I don't really keep track of the hours because you have so much to do. Sometimes you just get lost in the hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for sleeping, I think 7 hours of sleep for me is enough. So it depends on how many hours of sleep you need, and then what's your schedule like. But yeah,
Did you do math extension?
yeah, I did that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Oh, but yeah, I don't do tutoring for maths because I don't like maths. Yeah.
That's good. Oh.
Yeah, I only do English and chemistry. Only these two.
So which subject are you doing?
I did before, so I did four unit maths, English, chemistry, and economics.
Oh, yeah.
So no, only 10 units.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
I
Yeah,
have one
anything
more
else?
questions like for the transfer fees, can you send me your bank account and stuff?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
All right, okay then. Yeah, if you want to ask anything about like stuff, just message me.
Yeah.
I'll try my best to reply to you on time.
Yeah, and the next lesson, like when we're gonna study? Like what is
Yeah, I think it's gonna be sometime this week as well. This week I have time.
But do you
Is there
have
any
like
day?
the fixed day in weeks?
Yeah, I think fixed day. I think Monday, like yesterday, the time can be fixed in the long run.
Yeah.
But this week I can fit in extra lessons.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
usually can fix on Monday, right?
Monday night, yeah, that time it's reserved for you. Yeah, I move other people around for you.
Yeah, I usually free on Monday and Thursday, but on Tuesday I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. You said Thursday. Okay. Uh, okay.
Maybe we can have one more lesson on
Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah. What time do you get home on Thursday?
I think is it 8 is fine to you because I usually
8.
finish dinner at 7:40, so
Sure. That should be okay. 8. All right, I'll put you down.
yeah.
All right, no worries then. I'll see you again on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, try your best to find the quotes and do those.
Okay.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.